So, yes, so you can all hear. And coincidentally, we've gotten rid of the air conditioners, which were a problem. Well, it's great to see everybody. Thanks for joining us for our Governor and Executive, another exciting week of the Governor and Executive Council. It should be a reality TV show. So I'm excited that we bring it to the table. Just a reminder, obviously we love photos and all that sort of thing, but if you could just silence your cell phone. I think, are we still doing the telephonic?
So this is the stream.
Oh, this is the stream. Okay, so it is. We're live. We are live. Okay. We put the phone in the middle of the table. So, but again, just for folks that are joining us in the audience today, or folks that are joining us telephonically and that can listen online, we just want to make sure that the phones are silenced. To get things underway, I'm going to kick it over to Councillor Kenny. We had a great meeting this morning, a breakfast meeting at the. Big thanks to Commissioner Scott and his entire team at the new Dam Bureau building over South Concord.
Silk Farm Road, Governor.
Or is it Bow?
Silk Farm Road, Governor, in Concord.
Silk Farm Road. Oh yeah, over on Silk Farm Road. Everyone can give that a Google. But it was great, and it was a wonderful facility. It's not just bigger, it's safer, it's cleaner. It's definitely going to allow the entire town to be a lot more efficient. And dams are a big deal, as we all know. So but with that, I'll kick it over to Councilor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. First of all, if everyone would stand, and I'm going to lead everybody in prayer. Our thoughts and prayers are with the people of Israel, our men and women in uniform, and our first responders who protect us and make us safe. This is a prayer from St. Francis of Assisi, gems from the mind of the experience. Let us pray. Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is giving that we receive, it is pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. Gentlemen, lights. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask Councilor Kenny to stay up there with me. Today we are having a proclamation really recognizing, technically the proclamation is White Cane and Dog Guide Users Awareness Month, which is this month of October 2023. And we've invited reindeers and a lot of the folks from Future Insight, which do a lot of just the awareness, the education around all the different aspects of those that might be blind or visually impaired, specifically throughout the state of New Hampshire. Randy had this incredible story himself. Talk about an individual that will not be deterred by any sort of disability, or whether it be sight or boy. I mean, when you talk to me, we'll meet Randy in a second, but when you talk to him, you realize like we have no excuses for like not getting up and making the best of our lives, and it's really incredible. He also has an amazing book called "See You at the Summit" about his climb, which is also just really incredible stuff. But with that, I'll turn it over to Councilor Kenny.
So just to honor the occasion, a few words. World Sight Day is typically October 15th with the White Cane and Guide Dog User Awareness. New Hampshire always has been a leader and overachiever. We place emphasis on the entire month of October on the blind and visually impaired, who are often identified by their white canes and their guide dogs. And we have a nice mix of those folks in attendance today. It would probably surprise many to realize there are more than 28,000 individuals who experience profound sight loss as our blind and visually impaired neighbors. They live from Pittsburgh to Nashua, Keene to Portsmouth, and every town and county between. They are grandfathers, children, husbands, and wives. They are all ages, from birth to seniors, and have a variety of valuable contributions to our state. That is why we both celebrate these individuals and raise awareness that the right training, tools, and support are essential pathways to ensure more of the blind and visually impaired can live with the full competency, and dignity of all our residents deserve.
That's great. And so I'm going to ask Randy, if Randy wants to come up, and any of the folks that are future insights on the whole team, bring them on. Hey.
And my voice is right here, but I'll help some of the folks.
No, sorry, I'm going to take your hand first, ladies first, before I do it. And Randy, good to see you. Here, we'll give everyone a moment to come on up.
And for those looking for me that can't see, I'm right up here with your dog detector going on. Sure.
Hey, Joe, come on up. You got your own bag.
Thank you, Council Penny, thank you for letting us join this. And those are great for both Paul and
Thank you.
Sure.
You all want to come?
Sure.
Let me know what I need to do.
Morning.
Thank you all for your patience while we're working our way up here. This is, you had a lot of dogs, a lot of canes, and you get a lot of chaos. All right, so, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Counselor. But, thank you especially to this room all beside me, right? Because it's first and foremost always about people. That's what our world is about. It's about people. It's about connecting. And when Counselor Kennedy said that it's about ensuring that people have the training, the tools, the essential services that they need so that they can be the valuable contributors, so that they can be the neighbors, the normal citizens of everybody. That's the essential part. That's what we're trying to accomplish. That's my, if you'll forgive the expression, that's my vision. Right? Because we serve every age, from birth to seniors, whether every sight loss, from low vision to no vision, whether they've been blind all their lives, of which we have some, whether they've lost their vision as they go through life, or especially as later in life that people can often lose sight. So that's a lot, and now we serve every state, every town in the state. And what do we do? Right, when people manage things, whether their sight changes, whether their environment changes, their support system change, or the technology and the tools change, we have a vast array of people who are going to go to their homes, help them adapt, help them understand what do they want, what do they need, what are they missing. And the truth is, there's lots missing, but what's not missing is the inclusion, like this event, the awareness that we have to grow so that we can get out there and reach them. So when you hear 28,000, I hope that number surprised you, and I hope next year it surprises nobody, because we want all those folks to become the valuable members, the valuable voting members, the valuable working members of our state, and that's all possible. But it's only possible thanks to events like this, and because people who are here want to prove the ability, the capability, celebrate ability awareness, not disability awareness. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, but thank you for this proclamation. So Governor Sununu asked me to talk a little bit about the book, and what I love about the book, it's called Tea with the Summit, because I believe every one of us has the chance to reach our peak potential, literal and figurative. And when I spent one winter climbing every one of the 48 4,000-foot peaks in New Hampshire, that was highlighting awareness, that any of us can do the things we want to do. Not everybody wants to climb mountains. Some folks here are probably better climbers than I am. The reality is, everybody should be able to follow their dreams to become that contributing member. As Councilor Kennedy said, right, to live with dignity and competency. And that's all possible, and that's what the book highlights, right? My journey didn't always include that. When I lost my sight, I felt isolated, helpless, hopeless, like I could never do anything important again. And here I am leading the organization that 30 years ago said, hey, that's not how you have to feel. You can do all the things you want, let us teach you. And then 30 years later, they said, well, you've learned a little bit, why don't you come back and lead us, right? And that's what the book is. How does any of us do that journey, sighted or otherwise?
That's awesome. That is absolutely awesome. All right, thank you. So we do our proclamation. recognizing White Cane and Dog Users Guide Awareness Month for October 2023. Whereas the White Cane and Dog Guide, in addition to being a practical mobility tool, serve as a symbol of dignity, freedom, and independence for individuals who are blind or visually impaired. And whereas people who are blind and visually impaired are skilled and contributing members of society, we must highlight the availability of existing tools to facilitate communication and work to improve access to them. And whereas technology has increasingly become an equalizer, allowing greater independence and access to information for those who are blind or visually impaired. Whereas people who are blind and visually impaired face unique obstacles in their daily lives and strive to achieve these goals and aspirations, mobility tools such as White Canes and Dog Guides and specialized instruction in their use are critical in helping those who are blind and visually impaired to overcome these obstacles. And whereas Future Insight and agencies and organizations of and for people who are blind and visually impaired in New Hampshire wish to bolster public education and awareness of the contributions of those people who are blind and visually impaired. And whereas educating today's youth who are blind and visually impaired, including providing accessible materials and technology, will prove fruitful for the economic development of New Hampshire. Now, therefore, I, Christopher T. Sununu, Governor of the State of New Hampshire, do hereby proclaim October 2023 as White Cane and Dog Guide Users Awareness Month and call this to the attention of all of its citizens. Thank you so much. It's been great. If the council wants to come up, we'll try to pack as many of us in, or maybe do a panoramic photo. Okay. We'll all get in as tight as we can. Tails and toes. We're holding the camera, so you say hello to my mother. Thank you. Gotcha. Yeah. I can tell some puppies joined us. Puppies are trained. My dog is actually doing a good job there.
Everybody wanted it. There you go, dear. You know, you should be more, careful when you associate with somebody. I just wanted to say. Sorry, Mr. Breakfast. Hey, it was good. I got home. Just had to get caught on calls like I wanted to go. Just to... I know that. Well, someday I'll take insurance. You know what? I would take you up on that.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. So, good morning again. So, moving forward, I'm going to officially call this meeting of the Governor and Executive Council to order. I'm going to begin by asking for a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the October 4th, 2023 meeting. We have a motion. Second. Any discussion or changes to those meeting minutes? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the meeting minutes being approved, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? With that, those meeting minutes are approved. Next, from the office of the Secretary of State, we have our civil commissions. Can I please have a motion to accept the list of civil commissions? So moved. We have a motion and a second. Any additional names to place on the list? No? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the list of civil commissions, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, the list of civil commissions is approved. We do have a few resignations to accept today. From the Compensation Appeals Board, can I have a motion to accept the resignation of Lawrence Getman of Bow?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Lawrence's resignation is accepted. From the Fish and Game Commission, can I have a motion to accept the resignation of Mark Chance of Gilmington?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Mark's resignation is accepted. And from the New Hampshire Real Estate Commission, can I have a motion to accept the resignation of Paul Lipnick of Nashua?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on Paul? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Paul's resignation is accepted. That concludes our resignations. Moving on to our confirmations. I'll begin by asking for a motion to confirm Michael Dahlberg of New Boston, the Board of Land Surveyors.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Michael is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Beatrice Engstrand of Warwick to the Board of Medicine?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Governor, I would just like to say, I had a wonderful conversation with Beatrice, who still is 5 years relatively new to New Hampshire, but who's a neurologist, brings a tremendous amount of talent, wealth, and experience. And this is another example where we have someone from out of state moves to New Hampshire and want to volunteer and contribute. So I think she's going to be a great addition to the Board of Medicine.
Great, thank you very much. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Beatrice is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Sean Bergeron of Madison to the Board of Professional Engineers?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Sean's confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Alicia Key of West Lebanon to the Board of Psychologists?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Alicia is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Marissa Henn of Concord as the Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Health and Human Services?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Warmington?
Just want to say congratulations to Marissa. I've received quite a lot of feedback about this nomination, all positive, and look forward to working with her in this new role.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Marissa is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Thomas Christensen of Leidenborough to the current use advisory board?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That Tom is confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Elizabeth Payne of Center Sandwich as a justice on the New Hampshire Circuit Court?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Counselor Kenny.
Thank you, Governor. The Payne family is a well-known family in Carroll County. Elizabeth's father was a judge. This is really an exceptional New Hampshire family. They continue to serve both in the educational side and now on the judicial side. I can say that she brings in a wealth of experience in the legal community, and all I can say is that I think she's going to do a great job on the circuit court. And it's just I'm just so proud to have an exceptional family and this lady step up and serve on the circuit court system.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And with that, Elizabeth is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Herbie Patel of Guilford to the Pharmacy Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That Ms. Patel is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Robert Geralt of Barrington to the Pharmacy Board?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That Robert's confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Ryan Clouthier of Hooksett to the Residential Ratepayers Advisory Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Excuse me. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Ryan is confirmed. Could I please have a motion to confirm Matt Corey of Manchester to the Residential Ratepayers Advisory Board?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Matt's confirmed. Could I have a motion to confirm Dana Newt of Sanborn to the Residential Ratepayers Advisory Board?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Dana is confirmed. And finally, could I have a motion to confirm Richard Miller of Range to the Wetlands Council?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, Richard is confirmed. That concludes our confirmations today. I do have some nominations to read into the record. To the Board of Foresters, I nominate Richard Roy of Concord. To the Board of Mental Health Practice, I nominate Kristen Grasso of Wyndham. To the Board of Professional Geologists, I nominate Nikki Roy of Northwood. To the Board of Veterinary Medicine, I nominate Selby Lackman of Lee. To the Boxing and Wrestling Commission, I nominate Arthur Nolan of Pembroke. As the Director of the Division of Learner Support for the Department of Education, I nominate Melissa White of Hopkinton. As the Director of the Division of Marketing, Merchandising, and Warehousing for the State Liquor Commission, I nominate Mark Roy of Laconia. As a Justice of the Land Use Review Docket of the Superior Court, I nominate Michael Klaas of Hopkinton. To the Juvenile Parole Board, I nominate Michael O'Connor of Swansea. As an officer of the as the Office of the Consumer Advocate, and the State Consumer Advocate, I nominate Don Priest of Concord. To the Penalty Appeal Board, I nominate Richard Lawton of Durham, Richard Mitchell of Dunbarton, and Constance Morneau of Wolfboro. To the Rivers Management Advisory Committee, I nominate Brooke Kelly-Nyman of Weir and Michelle Tremblay of Pentecost. To the State Historical Resources Council, I nominate Ricardo St. Hilaire of Lebanon and Hollis Broadway of Portsmouth. And that concludes my nominations for today. Moving on, we have our consent calendar. I'm going to begin by asking for a motion to adopt the consent calendar. So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Any items that folks wish to have further discussion on from the consent calendar? Councilor Penny.
Yes,
3B? Okay. Any other items to remove from the consent calendar for further discussion? Okay, seeing no further requests, could I have all in favor of adopting the consent calendar agenda with the exception of item 3B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, the consent calendar is adopted. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda item 3B from the consent calendar?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Questions on item 3B? I believe this is a report from the Department of Safety, Councilor? Is that right?
New Hampshire Council is possible meeting.
Oh, sorry. No, hold on. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep, you're right. I'm getting confused. Do we have anybody here from? Oh,
Yes.
yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Thank you. Maura McCann, by night I am chair of the council, yes.
Morning, Mark. How are you this morning? Good?
Fine, thank you.
How is responsible gaming going on in the state of New Hampshire?
So we've had some changes this year, particularly with the funding. For the past 3 years, the council was allotted approximately $100,000 to oversee problem gambling in the state. The good news for FY24 is that we are back to fully being funded at $250,000 in the budget, thank you. And then, of course, we also have some breakage from historic horse racing that we will be using to help fund problem gambling in the state.
And my follow-up question is, do you work with DHHS to get any type of, addictive gambling statistics that might be included in this report in the future?
We actually work more with the National Council for Problem Gambling to get those statistics. In the past, we have not reached out to DHHS for that information.
So with the National Gaming Association that you're dealing with, because I noticed this was kind of thin on statistics or any kind of like, what, is there a problem in New Hampshire, what are the numbers?
Sure.
Or can you calculate certain, percentages or whatnot?
We do meet on a quarterly basis, and the group, which was the New Hampshire Council on Problem Gambling, had the previous contract. They have decided not to move ahead this year and help us with the problem gambling in the state of New Hampshire. So previously, we did have statistics specific to how many people call the problem gambling hotline, follow-ups, as well as just outreach by that group, yes.
Given that this is the annual report and you're going to be dealing with 400 legislators who deal with policy, and you kind of deal with, state agencies, in this case Charlie McIntyre and the Lottery, and I have to go to public hearings to explain what charitable gaming is all about and what is sports gaming about. But having statistics that would say that this is a major problem, it's a minor problem, it's not a problem at all, this annual report, having that type of information would make my job a lot easier.
And Councilor Kinney, I can certainly follow up following this meeting to provide all of you with that information.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay?
Great. Further questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So hearing no further discussion, all in favor of item 3B, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, item 3B of the consent calendar is approved. Okay, moving on, we have our regular agenda. We can begin by asking for a motion to adopt agenda item 6 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Public Health Services.
So moved.
Second.
Your motion and a second. Any discussion on item 6? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Thank you very much. Item 6 is approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 7 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Economic Stability?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Stevens.
Good morning, Lori Weaver, Commissioner of Health and Human Services.
Good morning, Commissioner. This is relative to the child care operating expense reduction grant program. It's $3.6 million in one-time grant to support our child care providers across the state. And just to be clear, the portal will open, I believe, October 23rd, correct? Are we getting the word out to all of our child care providers throughout the state on this portal? I have the link, which is through New Hampshire Connections. Will it also be on the DHHS site as well?
Sure, I'll let Karen Hebert talk to where it's going to be advertised. Good morning, Karen Hebert, Director of Division of Economic Stability. Thank you for the question. And as soon as you approve the item, we will initiate the opening of that application window, which will start the 23rd. We are also ensuring that a number of our vendors that we work with and associated are for discretionary projects, as well as Child Care Aware, our own website. We will engage with providers directly to inform them about this opportunity. So there's a lot of outreach that will happen for this item.
Well done. Much needed.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, Councilor Kenny?
Thank you. I have to get back to this website, New Hampshire Connections, because I understand, if someone's accessing that, looking for child care information, that the data's not all in there, that it's kind of like a ghost website that retrieves some of the information. Could you explain how New Hampshire Connection is being updated and improved as we move into the future? Because I still have people that someone wants accessing and getting information.
Sure. So if you have people who are struggling with it, I would love to know that, because we can certainly work with those individuals, whether it's a family or a provider. So the website really is designed to serve both for the provider population as well as families. So right now we are looking at doing a bit of a makeover, if you will, for a number of the pages on that site that's just needed to be updated. That will eliminate a lot of the old information, replace it with current, clean information so that folks have a better understanding. The data that we collect, I would have to get back to with respect to what our plans are for identifying what data points that we would be including within that particular site. We work directly with child care licensing to just make sure that everyone has access to the right information going forward. So there are a number of different data points, so if there's something specific you're looking for data, I can absolutely look that up and get back to you.
Thank you. I think one of the things is that when a consumer is looking at that website to find out, a child care facility within the community, they just want to know the information is current, because they're current, and they're obviously wanting to know what kind of facility it is, how many kids are in there, is there a wait list, is it licensed, have they had infractions or penalties. It gives the consumer the ability to say, hey, I kind of like this child care center based off the reporting. It seems like they've got their act together and doing well. And I did have one of those requests earlier this week on the Seacoast. And so we did look into the New Hampshire Connections, and there was some incomplete information. They had to go to a ghost website to retrieve that information. So who is running New Hampshire Connections, and who's our contract with? Again?
It's with MTX. It's through the Salesforce contract.
And MTX is periodically getting input from around the state to say how you can improve this website.
It's quite a team involved in that meets regularly to make improvements and enhancements to that particular site. There's a lot of work going on in that space right now.
And just lastly, I would just say that we know New Hampshire Connections is out there. A lot of people moving into the state, a lot of people looking for child care don't know that exists. So how you're educating the public, continue to do that, because people need an entry point, for child care.
Thank you. And a lot of that is done with the Child Care Aware services that are available. That is often a more popular, known site where people go, so we try to make the connection between them,
Great.
as well as the DHHS site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion on this item? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all in favor of item 7, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item 7 is approved. I'll now ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 8 through 10 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Behavioral Health. Any discussion on these items? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8 through 10 are approved. Could I get a motion to adopt agenda items 11 and 12 from the Department of Health and Human Services Commercial Hospital?
Second?
The motion and second. Any questions on items 11 or 12? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 13 from the Department of Health and Human Services from Hampstead Hospital and Residential Treatment Facility, from the Hampstead Hospital and Residential Treatment Facility?
Second?
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 13 is approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 14 through 20 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Long-Term Support and Services?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Wheeler?
Governor, I think it would be good just to get on the record exactly what we're doing here. This is we're spending a lot of money on this program, bringing people into homes and stuff like that. And I think it would be good to get a definition of what intensive treatment services are that most of this money is going to.
Okay.
Sure, and I'll have Melissa Hardy come up, and I'll just preface it by saying, to clarify, we're spending federal money for infrastructure to save general fund dollars. So that's the ultimate. We're bringing back folks that are out of state into state, and ultimately to, by the end of 10 years, have a savings of about $25 million. So that would be cumulative. In 3 years, if we bring back 30 clients, we'll save about $3 million, and that will continue to grow. So if we look at the investment on the federal dollars that we're allowed through ARPA to build, it's definitely worth the return on the investment of what we're saving for paying for ITS services. And I'll let Melissa talk to the detail of that.
Yes, good morning, Melissa Hardy. I'm Division Director for Long-Term Supports and Services. So ITS is intensive treatment services for individuals with developmental disabilities or an acquired brain injury. So these folks generally, in order to stay in a community setting, require more intensive treatment services such as maybe one-on-one support from a direct service provider, different social engagement activities that require higher intensive need. They may have some behavioral concerns that require different levels of treatment beyond what we traditionally see in the community.
So that would include behavioral and issue problems, like that would include sexual aggressive behaviors, violent behaviors, and that's why we're building lockdown facilities or alarm facilities with 4 or 5 windows and walls.
I mean, it certainly can include people who have a history of sexualized behavior or more aggressive behaviors. But the reason why we need more funding and support for these folks is there's different treatments and options for these folks that require more intensive treatment service needs, whether it is for sexual behaviors or other physical behaviors. Not everybody in an intensive treatment service has these types of behaviors, but they certainly could.
Could you explain in the item it says it's a step-down facility? Could you explain what they're stepping down from?
Sure. So some folks come from more intensive institutional settings. So it could be they could be boarding in an ER because there is no place for them. They could be coming from a psychiatric facility who's trying to manage their behaviors. And then as far as stepping down, these are considered community-based services, so they're stepping down into the community to be a part of their community.
And I guess one further question, do any of these individuals have criminal records or are here as a court placement because of that type of behavior?
I don't have that information on the individual basis. So I'm sure some...
Could they?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, in any one of our populations, you could have a criminal history, but I don't have that.
Well, if I may, I don't mean to step on your question, but could a court directly place someone in one of these facilities? Would there be a direct court placement? Obviously, anybody can have a background with
something on record, but would the court put people here?
Good morning, Chris Santinello, Associate Commissioner. Actually, there is a state law called RSA 171B. It was probably passed in the late 1990s, because what happens is if someone is determined to be incompetent to stand trial, then they don't go through the court proceedings. So there is a state law, and a number of people who may have committed or alleged to commit a crime, they can be sentenced under 171B, and we work with the court system, so they can't be found guilty because they're not competent to stand trial, but there's a significant amount of evidence, and so some of the people served with intensive treatment services could be under 171B. And then there's restrictions in the services. But a large majority of the people, I think like Melissa said, have behaviors, and it's not criminal activity.
Is there any other criminal behavior other than this method there, when they're incompetent to stand trial, that could be in these facilities?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Other than those individuals who are incompetent, do any of the other clients have criminal records?
We have one person who is out of state who was not guilty by reason of insanity, but she's not served in one of these homes.
Yes, that's different. Further question, Governor? So how do you tell the community what type of clients you're having? Is there a public hearing before you build one of these homes in a community?
No, there's no public hearing. We certainly work with our local area agencies and their connections with the community to talk to stakeholders. But, you know, we treat these folks like any other community member. So, you know, we wouldn't highlight that, you know, these homes are opening. They're part of everyone's community. So there wouldn't be any public hearing or anything like that. But certainly working with the area agencies.
I think this is my last question. Zoning wise, so like some of these houses were taken from just housing homeless and made them an intensive treatment service home. Would that require a zoning hearing in some of the towns? That you're going from just a residential home and making it into a treatment facility?
Thank you for that question, and I'm going back on my days when I used to run an agency and remembering some of these. And so it's not really a change of use because it is still a residential home. And I think that's the piece that it's not, you know, these are homes that have like 6 or less people. The majority are 3-person. And usually you work with the cities, the towns to talk about what you're doing, but it doesn't need to go before zoning.
Even though you have a treatment room in the house, according to some of these restrictions?
Yeah, no, because I think a treatment room is, it's a safe space for somebody if they're having a difficult time that live with other people to go to get removed from the environment, and so it would not require that. It's in a person's home.
Thank you.
Councilor Stevens?
I just wanted to pass around a letter that I received from Farmsteads New England, and they are attempting to site 9 beds, and they've been working on this project for 6 years. They are ready to go. There's a wait list of 160 individuals trying to get a bed. Their families are desperate. Our area agencies, there is a trend where our families are aging, and they're desperately trying to find safe housing for their children, their grown children who have a developmental disability or an acquired brain injury. They're ready to go. They've been working on this for 6 years. And, you know, many of our residents are living out of state. It's a stressor on families. But these are our area agencies. These are exemplary organizations. The 1.3 for Farmstead and these others, they should go through. There should not be any pause. It's hurting our most vulnerable residents.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Kenny.
On agenda 20, so this is the Next Steps Community Services in the fourth quarter. An increase in housing capacity of 16 beds for individuals for this particular residential facility. Let me ask you this. This is headquartered in Carroll County, and as I look at this contract, most of the folks are going to other counties but Carroll County. So I'm wondering, for instance, one home is going to Littleton, 3 are going to Sullivan, Grafton, Cheshire, Merrimack, or Hillsborough County. Are any of these beds going to Carroll County?
Yeah, so at least one, I think the term in there says at least one is going to Littleton. So we have an opportunity there as they find real estate to purchase to approve or deny those sales. And we certainly, want to focus on areas that are underserved. So I know they listed, like you said, Sullivan, Grafton, Cheshire, Merrimack, and Hillsborough, but they also said at least one in Littleton. So we're certainly looking at geography and all of these contracts.
So if you look at Littleton, that's a beautiful community in northern Grafton County. And it's really kind of the most expansive community in northern New Hampshire in the last 10 years. And so I think they're going to do all right up there. They've got a lot of great social services up there. But I'm just looking at Carroll County, there seems to be a void of northern human services, whether they're looking at that area, whether there's a demand there. But I mean, I've heard from some folks in different categories that there is a need for residential housing. So how are you addressing that?
And like you said, Next Steps is an already established provider in New Hampshire that has, I think, about 53 beds throughout New Hampshire, really focusing on the northern part of the state. So, I think there's a lot of factors that are involved when you're looking at rural areas and staffing some of these homes to try and find, even though it's a small program, you do 3 or 4 beds, to find staffing in more remote areas is tough. So I think it's kind of the strategy of these providers to pick locations that are across the state, but also in areas in which they can find staff to provide the service.
And I also think, there's flexibility because we know the housing market is so tight, right? And so we want to give Next Steps and the other providers that if it's in the next town over, they can still go forward because there is such a need.
Well, it's all great information, but it's still not getting residential homes built in Carroll County. And I get it. From Carroll County residents who have that need that can be built in other counties. But Carroll County, I would just say to the DHHS, to your department, look at Carroll County. The need is there. I'm sure it is. It's probably the 3rd county in the state. So the need is there. So truly look at it.
Councilor Warrington.
I met with a mother last week who her child is suffers with a severe autism and is now an adult, and was really literally in tears about the lack of services in our state. And we have so many of our own New Hampshire residents right now living out of state because we are not providing those services and making that very difficult for family members to visit with them. We know we've had a recent experience of how difficult it can be to monitor out-of-state placements and make sure that these very, very vulnerable people are being properly cared for. I really applaud this effort to make sure that we are bringing our New Hampshire residents back home and that we're taking care of them in our state. They need this care, their families need this care, and I think that we need to move forward with this in a sense from every perspective, including economic, as suggested, and I applaud the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay. Seeing no more further discussion, all in favor of items 14 through 20 from the Department of Health and Human Services, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, those items are approved. Good morning, Ms. Drew. I see you back there.
Good morning,
Maybe
Governor.
you're hiding behind the taller, more robust fourth graders.
Yes, they're getting taller. So we have fourth graders from Newmarket Elementary.
Oh, wonderful. Newmarket Elementary, Counselor Stevens, your people.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I think you're our first school group of the year. How's your day going? Good, good. You making the rounds? Where have you been so far?
The legislative.
Rexall.
Yeah. And the senator.
Nice, nice. Well, enjoy your day. It's a very exciting day here. A lot going on. So, enjoy your day, guys.
Thank you.
All right, you guys want to come down here? Come on over. Come stand
Right in line, and you can go and say hello to the governor. Excuse me, I'm just going to stand over here.
Okay, so we're going to resume by asking for a motion to adopt agenda item 21 from the Department of Health and Human Services from the Division of Medicaid Services. Any discussion on item 21? Councilor Kenny.
So we have this wonderful adult dental program that we rolled out very early in the year. Where are we at, and what's this going to do to improve it?
If I can address the contract piece and then say where we're at with the program, would that be okay? At CMS, we had an aggressive April 1 start in terms of the time the legislation was passed. There were a few issues that the wording in the contract around basically two key areas in terms of what access to the contractors' data and such can be looked at by both the state and federal government. They have some preferred language, so they're asking us to put that in there. They're also clarifying what the rights are of people to get their own records. It's more, I'll say, boilerplate changes to conform with CMS's preferred language around protecting program integrity, protecting people's rights to their records, and protecting and just general administration and access to confirm audits and things like that. And I think they were just trying to be helpful to us to move it along and come back and address this. There's no financial change as a result of this. In terms of the program, we give you a sort of a brief update through sort of like mid-September numbers. We've served just under 7,000 individuals in the state. We have now 142 providers in the network. Pleased to say that 21 of them are oral surgeons, which is, I think, very good for this area. It's still a work in progress. I was at a national meeting of Medicaid directors, and building out dental networks is one of the challenges that all states face, and there's also, I think, an emerging shortage of dental practitioners. We're trying to work around that by using the dental land. We have 4 more dates in October, 6 dates in November already situated. We don't have the locations specified yet. We're working on that. And then we have 2 in December. So we're trying to build up access in areas where there's rural needs. Some of them cover your district and other districts here. And I think we're working with stakeholders, the Dental Society, Able New Hampshire and such to try to help work through the issues. But I think all things considered, we're making good progress, and financially I'll have some data on that, but I think we're staying within our budget and so forth. So.
I just want to say the Community Action Program is going to have the commissioners or house staff visit that mobile lands and going up and down to Berlin and Tampa, and so well received, and I think it's going to be a great thing. So thank you for that.
If I may, Henry, I noticed in this, I know there's no change in the fiscal, in the cost of this item, but I don't see anywhere, what is the breakdown of the general fund versus federal funds on this? It's nowhere in the end.
Well, I can provide that to the council off the top of my head. The people that are covered through Granite Advantage, it's, the 90-10. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's like somewhere under $5 million in terms of the cost for the...
But this is, I guess that's what I'm asking. This is a 90-10 split. The 33.5 million, this was a 90-10 split.
It's a combination of 90-10 for the Granite Advantage and then the adults.
Right.
The standard Medicaid is 50-50.
So it's...
I'm remembering it's like about 11 million, maybe about a third of it is between... yeah, thank you. And in terms of the cost of the program, thank you, Ethan, for reminding me. Just I was remembering the allocation, but the funding that's coming to support this is from the 17 settlement. That was that 17 million.
Right.
But the combination of what the state puts through using that money is 90-10 for the Granite Advantage and 50-50 for...
Okay, so the 10 or 11 million that was approved by the legislature, that's still standing in terms of the general fund.
Yeah, we believe that the settlement money will take us through the end of 23, 24, and then 25, and potentially into 26. So I think that the settlement money has given us a great start on it.
It's still general fund. Settlement money is general fund. Let's not beat that. I just want to be very clear. It's not like magic money.
I wasn't considering it.
All right, great. Any other discussions? Okay. All in favor of item 21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 21 is approved. We do have a table item from Health and Human Services. Can I get a motion to remove agenda item 22 from the table? Motion and a second. All in favor of removing item 22 from the table, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 22 is removed from the table. Could I get a motion to adopt former agenda item 22?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion on formally tabled item 22? Councilor Kennedy. Sorry, Councilor Wheeler.
Thank you, Governor. The reason we put this on the table, or at least my reason we put this on the table, is the cost per client on this one item is well over double of all the other items that we approved last meeting and the ones that we just approved now. And so we've had a lot of discussion with the department and players over the last week, and I think that this is one that needs to go back to the drawing board and see if we can get this done a little bit cheaper. They're well over $200,000 per client in this project, and most of the other projects are $100,000 per client, with the exception of Farmstead, which is a little more, just a little more than $100,000 per client. I'm looking at the Farmstead letter here, and it says that they got some of their own private financing from New Hampshire Housing Finance Authority, and maybe that's a possibility for gateways in Nashua. We have had some movement on construction, particularly demolition costs. I think we need to take another look and see if maybe instead of a complete demolition, that we can save part of this building and get the cost more in line with what these other housing units are costing us. So it would be my opinion at this time that we not approve this item and go back to the drawing board here and see if we can get a project that's more in line with what the other 26 projects here that we've already approved, get that in line with those financially.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion on it? Councilor Gatsas.
Thank you, Governor. If they could come back at 4 units, around $500,000, that's probably where this council is thinking.
Okay. Further discussion? Sir?
I guess I just would like to hear from the commissioner, is the likelihood of that happening? We've been having these ongoing discussions. I would, if this is, I understand that you've been providing additional cost estimates to Councilor Wheeler, and that this might be as good as it can get, but what if you tell us where you are in those conversations?
Sure, so we've had many conversations with Councilor Wheeler, with all of you, with gateways, as well as contractors. And I think looking at the cost, we had 3. I know that the gateways is going to move that up to 4 with 4 bedrooms, and potentially reducing that cost. So that is something we did explore and talk about. Could we bring it down? I think going below 5 would not work, but I think if it was around 5 and adding the 4th, having 4 bedrooms at the 5. Now, I just want to remind people, that's not us sending a check over for 5 saying, here, give it to us. At that point, we accept the money and they go through a bid process. They must submit all of the bids, select the lowest bidder, and then we must approve that. So if you're saying that you think it would pass with 500 with 4 beds, and I think that's something that we could talk to them about and come back with. But below that would probably be hard. That would mean, to your point, Councilor Wheeler, the gateways absorbing some of those other costs or finding other funding mechanisms for some of those costs in that direction.
So I guess my question is, would you prefer that this council approve this item at this level and then allow you to continue your negotiations, I guess, with the vendor? Or would you prefer that we reject this item and that you bring back another proposal?
Well, what I would prefer is that we could move as soon as possible, in all honesty. I don't know the mechanics, and I'll look to the contracts people in terms of, at this point, if you approve that as is, does it bind me to that, or do I need to come back with a proposal that's for the 5 and 100,000 and the 4? Nobody's looking at me. They only give away.
I apologize, could you repeat your question? If we go ahead and approve this item, technically the vendor then has to go put it out to bid. Would that contract, first let's ask this question, would that bid, the results of that bid come back to this body?
It would go to the department for final approval. What you're accepting now is to be able to say that it's okay for us to give us that
So would it
money.
come here?
No.
Okay, so the question then is,
No.
yeah, so that's the answer. The answer is,
So we would have to vote this down, come back next meeting with the RGA that says 500 for 4, and then you would vote on that. But even, so that would be the final vote on what we just talked about.
Right.
Yes. So maybe I answered my own question.
You prefer that we vote this down and then we come back?
That just doesn't sound right. I prefer that if we can get a clean amendment, a different proposal next week, to vote down this amendment now to vote for an amendment for 500,000 for 4 beds for next meeting.
So by voting it down, we have the opportunity to come back with a better option.
Yes.
It doesn't mean it's dead, it means it gives you the flexibility to come back with something a little bit better.
Yes.
And you've had fruitful discussions that lead you to believe that you will be able to come back with that proposal or something?
Yes.
In that neighborhood. Okay. Thank you.
Well, worst case scenario, you come back with the same,
Yeah.
with this and say we couldn't get it any better, but it sounds like we probably can.
I think we could do a little bit better, yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on this table item? Formally tabled item?
I'm just going to say, I prefer trying to get it a little bit better, so I'll be voting no. And One of the things about the council as we know is we can't legislate. We can't throw amendments on contracts. We can't shape it, form it while we're sitting here. We have to wait for the next go around, so I'll be voting no.
I will also say that at the commissioner's recommendation at this point, that what makes sense is to vote no.
Vote it down and come back.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say all in favor of voting down item 22, please signify by saying aye.
No.
And anyone for moving forward with item 22? Okay, with that, item 22 is voted down, and we'll try to bring it back again very soon.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes?
Before Commissioner takes off, I wanted to run something by you.
What? Okay. All right.
On Hampstead Hospital, may I circle that?
No, beyond, is it have to do with the contract?
No, it has nothing to do with the contract, it's separate from the contract.
Is it something that we can take outside of the business of the council?
We can put it off to the next meeting if you'd like.
Okay. Okay, what are we talking about? That's okay, but I'm trying to keep things focused on our agenda. What is it? Okay.
This has to do with the WellPath contract and fulfilling the terms for Hampstead Hospital. But if you want to put it off to the end, then we can do that.
No, I just want, I'm trying to keep the discussion to the items on the agenda, but why don't you go ahead, I'll just ask to keep it brief. What's the issue?
No, it's a critical issue. You know, when the state of New Hampshire entered a contract with WellPath to oversee operations at the hospital, the contract stipulated that the contractor will provide personnel 24/7, 365 days per year who are trained in behavioral health and incident de-escalation for the purpose of monitoring and providing security internally at HHRTS. The vendor is required to have 2 security staff per shift. Since October 22nd to August of 23, $350,000 in payments have been dispersed for WellPath's contracted safety ambassadors. Personnel budget per year of the 2-year $50.2 million contract is more than $14 million annually. Based on recent incidents, I question if WellPath is meeting the security requirements outlined in the contract. Between the number of runaways reported to Hampstead Hospital, to Hampstead Police, 11, and calls made to both State Police and Hampstead Police for assistance with unruly riots, infers that staff is unable to de-escalate or has the adequate staff to provide adequate oversight for internal security at the facility. Again, these are 2 essential tasks which are outlined in the contract. Since June 12, 2022 to October 10th of 2023, Hampstead Police Department has responded to 61 calls. In 2020 and 21, total of 52 calls were made. New Hampshire State Police have responded 73 times. Based on police reports, the security staff provided and hired by WellPath is struggling with de-escalation. 9 calls for assistance with unruly disturbances are troubling. July 10th, a 16-year-old patient escaped after punching a male staff member and giving him a concussion. August 22nd.
Counselor, we're not going to go through every incident. We don't have a WellPath contract. We will have a contract for the facility coming before. So when the contract comes before us, I think that would be a great time for discussion. But I think the context of this is...
I'm going to disagree with you because the strain this is putting on local law enforcement when Hampstead Police are called to Hampstead Hospital.
Understood, and we will manage that at the executive level, and we'll go out and try to find a new contract and put something out to bid. But there's nothing before this council today that has to do with the contract running Hampstead Hospital. Am I wrong?
This needs to be a priority, Governor.
And it is.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
The demands being placed on Hampstead Police, they have to oversee the 9,000 residents. When they go to patrolmen or women on duty,
Okay,
No
I'm going
one's
to
talking
ask
about
the commissioner to respond in terms of where we are with the contract process to potentially bring in a new provider.
So WellPath was a startup vendor that we used to be able to do the procurement for child psychiatric services. And as of or next month, we will be releasing that RFP with the intention to award that at the end of this fiscal year. So in terms of it being a high priority of what's happening at Hempstead, now absolutely. We've been actively engaged with the town, with state police, with Bob Quinn, with the Hempstead PD, with the representatives in the town, as well as with the vendor, and monitoring and managing that contract every single day. I've made changes in the leadership side for the state side there, and I've asked the vendor to make changes there as well. They will be 100% full of their safety staff next week. And we continue to monitor those. I mean, we're on it. It's an acute psychiatric facility, and we're in there managing, sleeves rolled up with them right now to be able to get to where we need to be, which is keeping those kids safe.
Okay.
I just want to say, I have to say, Governor, I take objection to the suggestion that the executive counselors cannot ask off-agenda questions. We can, and we do, and it is part of our responsibility of oversight of the executive branch. So I think that we have that responsibility. While we're on this topic, I think that we also know that the census there has remained very low, and in large part due to staffing. But I have had my own conversations with the department and recognize that this is going to be put up to bid.
Just a follow-up, please. 3 years, Commissioner Weaver, you stated, well, we have 8 months. That's a long time for local law enforcement. And when inappropriate requests are being made on Hempstead Police to assist with restraint to administer a sedative, that law enforcement, that young patrolman could have lost his job. The same request was made of state police. Absolutely inappropriate. In July this year, Hempstead Police was asked to provide 24/7 security for a violent patient. Hempstead Police said, we can't do this, putting an armed officer on the floor with a patient who would not be held in a secure area. There's safety at issue here as well. And I will say the Hempstead Police are on board in being a team player, but the demands are exceeding their capabilities and capacity.
And I just would like to acknowledge that in the last 6 weeks, with the efforts and the changes that we've made, those calls have reduced drastically. I believe we had 2, if not 1.5, if that's such a thing, since then. So the summer was a higher amount, and we've been working and planning and to bring that number down, and so far we have.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to the Department of Transportation. Thank you. Motion put up agenda items 22 through 42A.
Right away.
We're all losing now.
Right away.
Can I get a motion on the DOT item? Second, thank you. Any questions on items 22 through 42A? Council Warner.
I have a question on item number 26. In reviewing the packet, it appears that there was authorization to sell this property for $140,000, and yet it sold for $130,000. Can you just explain the process?
Good morning. For the record, I'm Andre Greer, Deputy Commissioner here at NHDOT. I can get the details of the transaction for you, Counselor, following the meeting. As far as the particulars of the negotiations, I don't have those ahead, but I'm happy to get those for you.
My question is really from the process. When you're authorized to sell at a certain level, are you authorized to sell to less than that?
Again, I believe so. I can get our right-of-way folks to clarify, but it's a normal real estate negotiation.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Council Gatzis?
24, full red, number 24.
Uh, 24?
Is it a right way?
2 million additional
Yes.
for the design. Do you get all the councilors a copy of all the changes in that 2 million, please?
Absolutely, sir. It is contained in the packet, all the detailed changes. It's not unusual that during, through the engineering phases, we would identify additional requirements. In this case, that 2 million represents about 17, a little north of 17,000 additional man hours for further engineering, additional requirements.
20% increase.
Yes, sir. And that, because of the nature of the project, while I said in the course of normal engineering, it's not unusual to identify additional work to be done by the prime and subs. In this particular case, we had a very good notion that there would be additional work identified, and in this case, that 2 million represents that. That's not an inflationary effect, that's actual additional work that the prime is accomplishing for the department.
Governor number 32, the graffiti contract.
The graffiti contract.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
And when are they starting?
So the graffiti contract, as I think the executive councilors know, was put out. The A bidder ultimately withdrew. They had some problems with the contract. We went to the B bidder, who's extremely enthusiastic about the work. They'll start work on the I-293 in Manchester portion. Immediately, what we have asked them is to front load the majority of work in this calendar year, and they seem willing to do that.
Thank you, Governor, for your help.
Councilor Chief.
Agenda item 40, so the initial hours that we had anticipated, DOT was 11,000, and what DHB came back with was 19,000. But what is a real concern is the 5-month delay for the contract extension to complete this. How does this affect the next phase?
It should not affect the next phases, ma'am. It should not. That is, since they're operating among several phases of the project, that will all happen simultaneously. We did extend their period of performance to enable them to complete that final design phase. But it should not delay the actual A, B, C, D, E phases.
And what are the upgrades or modifications to the rail trail that are proposed?
Yeah, that changed. It changed the nature of an intersection, the shape. That picture is in the package, but it just basically changed the geometry of that portion.
Also on 40, and following up on the work on the rail trail, so this additional money that's spent on rail trail alternatives, is this the money that is spent to go from the tunnel to the spaghetti loop, or are you going from the spaghetti loop to something?
That was mostly, that represented mostly past consulting expenditures on exactly the dynamic that you.
So you remain committed to the spaghetti loop branch at this point? Layout.
As far as engineering alternatives that were examined and our intention to move forward, that we wouldn't call it that, but I understand the shorthand, yes.
And have you sought federal approval for the spaghetti loop yet? I know you had federal approval for the tunnel. Did you seek federal approval for the spaghetti loop?
I would talk to my experts and get back to you on that. My understanding is that approval had been granted, but I will follow up with you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Gadsden.
Off agenda. Somebody rattled my page this morning from Epson, and I think the governor probably knows who it is, about the lights at the circle, and that they're both out. And she's telling me that it's a very dangerous situation.
I will, the minute I go back, I will get our folks on that, sir.
And I know that we got an additional $40 million from the federal government. Have we talked about where that's going to be spent?
As far as what type of funds were those, sir?
Federal funds.
Oh, yeah, okay, I know what you're referring to. You're referring to end of year. So we programmed those against projects, and we were able to successfully do that. Of note, New Hampshire, pound for pound, we were one of the top acceptors of those end-of-year funds with any state. So we program those against projects in our 10-year plan, and that's what we do.
Does the council know where you put the funds?
Since we did allocate those in accordance with the 10-year plan, those are all the projects.
Why don't you give them a list, though?
We're happy to do
Yeah,
that.
that would
We
be great.
do have those. It's not a huge number. I believe it's 4 or 5, but I can get you a list of exactly how those funds work together.
And you probably could use some of that money to do those lights at the circle.
Hopefully we'll get that done quicker. But, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Further discussion from DOT? Okay, all those in favor of items 22 through 42A from the Department of Transportation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Good morning, we have some more visitors.
We do. These visitors are from Trinity Christian in Keene.
And Keene, oh great. Councilor Warmington.
Hello, how are you today? You enjoying your visit? Great. Well, this is the Executive Council chambers. This is the Executive Council. This is Councilor Kenny here. He represents the North Country, and I'm Councilor Warmington, and I represent your town. And this is Councilor Stevens, who represents the Seacoast.
Hey, guys.
Councilor Gatzis represents the Manchester area, and Councilor Wheeler who represents the Nashua area. So welcome, and I have a question for you. Did any of you know who these pictures are, these folks all around here? All right, that's your job. Ask your teachers, ask your guide to tell you about the pictures here in the State House. My other question is, does anyone know whether the gold on the top of the State House is real or not real? Not real? What do you think? Real? I don't know. So that's your second question. Ask today, all right? Your guide knows that, right?
Thank you. Yes,
You're
I do.
welcome.
Thank you very
And
much.
now, you want to meet the governor?
I think
Come
they
on,
do.
come on down.
So come on over and you can meet the governor and shake his hand.
Where's your Trinity shirt? How you Oh my
Okay, just continuing on, I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 43 and 44 from the Governor's Commission on Disability. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 45 and 46 from the Department of Information Technology?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 47 from the Office of Professional Licensure and Certification?
Second.
Any discussion on 47? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 47 is approved. I'm now going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 48 from the Department of Revenue Administration. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 48 is approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 49, the Judicial Council?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 49 is approved. I now ask for a motion to adopt agenda item 50 from the Department of Military Affairs and Veteran Services. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 50 is approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 51 from the Department of Agriculture, Markets and Food?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Warmington. Commissioner?
Good morning.
I've been hearing from farmers that the insurance payments are very, very low and not covering even any significant portion of their losses, that there are lateral losses because they don't have the foot traffic coming to the apples, so they're losing in other ways as well. And that they're just wondering what the state is doing, and I understand that you are undertaking some efforts, and if you could tell us about that.
Well, I am working with members of the legislature on a bill to put a fund in place. Right now, the number is in doubt. I'm pushing for more money than what is in the bill. Senator Ennis is sponsoring that bill. There's another survey going out because, of course, we had the initial one, which showed about a $15 million loss before the harvest was really even underway. It was an estimate. And then we've had a lot of damage to vegetables. So that survey is out there, due to close off on November 15, for us to have a much better picture of what the total losses are to agriculture. But we will have the bill there, and we'll be fighting for as much as we can, because it's pretty devastating to a lot of places in the world. One of the larger farms that, even after the insurance, probably will be looking at a $3 million loss on the farm. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concern is we really are at risk of losing some of our farms here, and no farmers, no food.
Exactly, and I think we saw through the pandemic that having food that can be locally sourced is very important. And there are a couple of farms, particularly orchards that I'm aware of, that just went through a recent ownership transfer, and so that is, those farms are particularly at risk because they don't have the wherewithal to sustain themselves during that period. A lot of people have been trying to diversify into other crops. There's a vineyard over in Lee that planted corn for the first time. They said, well, nobody's ever bought corn from us. We'll see how that goes. I have not followed up to see how much that made up for them. But yeah, it's a lot of concern. There are programs, the crop insurance program, which we don't think works well for this part of the country. I signed on to a letter with all of the other commissioners, secretaries, directors from this part of the country to urge the USDA to really look closely at that program and realize that just paying wholesale doesn't make any sense. It's like $12.50 a bushel, and in many cases we're looking at apples that may be retailing closer to $50 a bushel. So obviously it's not much of a help when you've got that kind of a gap.
And just the last question, I understand that Senator Shaheen has been working on this at the federal level. He spoke on the floor of the Senate about this last week. Are you coordinating with the congressional delegation?
We have been in communications with them, not so much coordination, but have been in meetings with members of the delegation and aware of what's going on. And of course, if there's any information we can provide, we'll be glad to do that. But we're not going to really have very good numbers until Cooperative Extension closes up that survey that they're doing.
Further discussion? Okay, all in favor of item 51, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 51 is approved. Thank you. I'll now ask for motion to adopt agenda item 52 through 54 from the Governor's Office for Emergency Relief and Recovery.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Can I have a motion to adopt agenda items 55 through 61 from the Department of Business and Economic Affairs?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Thank you, sir. Now 158, 159. That the items are approved. I'll now ask for motion to adopt agenda items 62 through 64 from the Fish and Game Department.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Wheeler.
Scott Mason, Executive Director of Fish and Game. Councilor Will, would you mind if I did a small commercial before the question?
That's the government.
Yeah, it's quick. Do you want to? Everyone's got commercials today.
On your, we presented our biennial report to you folks. This is a biennial report that a citizen shared with me that was put forth by one of my predecessors in 1930. Just some interesting facts and figures about how things were in the 1930s in New Hampshire, and I just wanted to share it with the council.
Quick commercial to win lunch.
Councilor Whitaker.
Thank you. I have a question on a couple of items. So, item 16 for the additional biologist and supposedly getting the alteration of terrain permits out the door. Is my Milford permit out the door?
We're still waiting to hear back from the town of Milford. They came and met with us in June, and they wanted to change their proposal, and we have not heard yet from them on whether they want, where they want to go with that change.
Could be, because you don't like anything they like. But just my point is, we got to get these alteration of terrain permits out the door without blackmailing the cities and towns to give up land to be able to get our own gravel out of our own gravel bank, the same gravel bank that we built Route 101 bypass with. This has got to happen. This can't keep dragging on. This is ridiculous.
So can you proactively reach out to the council?
Yes, we have.
And tell them that the council and the executive council are putting a lot of pressure on you for them to get you what you need.
Okay.
That way, I think they need to hear the message that Concord is impatiently waiting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Then on the next item, 63, the purchase of land, I believe it was at our last government council meeting, we had the discussion about adding language to these items on how this land could be used, so that posterity knows that these lands were purchased for wildlife hunting and fishing and recreation, and not to be given away for environmental credits and not being able to cut down trees or whatever it is. But posterity needs to know, and I thought we had that agreement at the last meeting, that whenever we have a land purchase from Fish and Game, that somewhere in this item, and hopefully in the title, how we're going to be able to use it is there.
I guess I apologize. I didn't realize you wanted it in the individual. I'm sorry, in the individual agreements for the land. We do have policy on how we utilize our properties. We have, our job is to maintain wildlife habitat, which usually means we're fairly aggressive on our cutting.
I mean, I didn't ask for it to be in the actual contract, but I wanted it in, which I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
But I wanted in the item the public record of the purchase of this property. So when someone looks back 25 years from now, they say, oh, this was purchased for hunting and fishing and wildlife management, and not for other uses.
Okay. Let me confer with our AG on that. This item is actually to accept federal money so that we can go forth with the purchase, and that will be coming to you soon.
Yep. Thank you, sir.
Councilor, what we can do?
Yeah, on item 63, I just want to confirm our earlier conversation. It says in here that this will be provided for in part by a $150,000 cash donation received by Fish and Game. But I do not recall this council ever approving the receipt of the $150,000 donation. So you've looked into that and you can tell us.
So the commission has approved the $150,000 donation. That, I believe, will be coming to you next month. We haven't actually received the check. I believe we have now. And that triggers us to come before you folks to approve the donation.
So you're going to accept that retroactively, and it's okay to accept that after we've accepted this?
Well, this is just on the federal money. That will be a separate item for the donation.
I hate to do this, Gabby, but I have an off-subject question. Real quick. I understand.
You're not going to read the entire police law, are you?
I promise. Yesterday, the commission, at the urging of the department, I understand, wants to repeal the opportunity for a hunter education instructor can have an appeal if their credentials are taken away. And I'm wondering how that helps us get hunter education instructors, volunteers, when they lose their right to appeal, if some CEO's feelings were hurt. If they have no place to go except for support with spending thousands of dollars to get their certification. So I'm wondering why. Why do we do that?
Once again, with discussions with council, nobody knew why this particular voluntary program had that in it. I believe the rest of our volunteer programs do not have a hearing process associated with that.
And have we ever used this appeal process until recently?
We have used it twice, to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of items 62 through 64, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Ms. Drew, I see you're back with another crew.
So, Governor, I'm here with the second half of the Newmarket Elementary School.
Hey, guys. Hi, good afternoon. How many of you?
I don't know.
Hi, June. A good friend from Rye. Welcome, everybody. You're having a great day, right?
Yes.
What have you enjoyed the most? Everything? That's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear. So stick around. I think somebody is coming in at noon to sign their papers to run for president. So you guys might be around for some very exciting stuff. So just have a great time.
Thank you.
You're in good hands with both of these wonderful women.
And so the gentleman down there, would anyone like to go that way towards the governor? So boys, go ahead, and girls. Yep, girls too, sorry. Yeah, the boys.
Soccer player? Okay.
Hey, where are you? What's your name?
You got a soccer player.
Hey, how are you? Hey. Hi, guys. Wonderful. I don't need to. How are you? Nice to see you. Hi. Have a great day.
Mini mules? Oh, you're the mini mules. Okay. That makes sense. Mini mules. Right? Then we'll get back at each other again.
Thanks for coming. Chris? Nice to see you. Oh, nice. Jasper, nice to see you. You are Connor. Chris, good to see you. Pleasure. Hey guys, how are you? Hey, it's good to see you guys. Thanks for coming. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. My favorite there was, I'm Connor and I'm sick. You After 10,000 fourth graders, I'm amazed at everything at this point. Okay. I appreciate you letting me know. Not telling me at all. Okay, so I'm going to continue by asking for a motion to adopt agenda items 65 through 80 from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. So moved. Any discussion? I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, 65 through 80, yeah, from Natural Resources. Any questions? There we go. There's the good stuff. Yes.
I just have a comment.
Commissioner?
I don't need the commissioner, but if she wants to, we'll give her accolades for this.
Okay.
For the roofing item, I appreciate the division putting this back out to bid. We had one bid last time, as you remember, and it was double market price, so this has come in at half of what it does. We had 5 people show up at the job site visit, and 4 bidders, and this bid here is saving us half of what we were going to pay before, so thank you very much.
Yes, please keep your on that.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of 65-280, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. I'm now going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 81 through 105 from the Department of Environmental Services, although please note that item 87 is not used. Any discussion for DES? Councilor Stevens?
Good morning, Governor, Councilors, Bob Scott, from the Department of Environmental Services.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. This was that PA's contract with our National Guard, and it's the removal of an offloading pier, which is supported by what I refer to as dolphins, 4 existing steel sheet pile cells within Piscataqua. We knew in 2018 that this was a problem, that the steel was rusting, and that it was in the advanced stages of deterioration, and the likelihood of failure is possible. So we're now at 2013, nothing has been done, and now we're asking for another 5-year extension. It's very serious. I'm questioning why it's taken so long.
So as you mentioned, so this is just for everybody else's edification, so this is part of the old infrastructure from when Pease Air Force Base was operating. There's also a fuel line that goes from that facility all the way to the tank farm on the base proper. So I am able to confirm that work has been ongoing. One of the problems that slows this down is those dolphins, as you say, these big cement pilings are the fill, what was used to fill those up, if you will, is uncertain. So they're trying to characterize what's in there so they can then know how to best dispose of it. So that's ongoing, and I was at Pease last month, and that was one of the discussion items when we were there. We did have oil spill issues on the areas I mentioned this morning.
Thank you.
And Governor, you get our commercial this morning, so you'll get it.
Further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of these items from DES, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? So those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda item 106 from the New Hampshire Veterans Fund?
Second.
Any discussion on 106? Councilor Warren?
Good morning, Kim McKay, Commandant, New Hampshire Veterans Home.
Good morning, Paul Lloyd, Chairman of the Board of Managers.
We have no commercial.
Thank you, Commandant. I'm following up on our many discussions regarding the units that still remain closed at the Veterans Home. What is the extent of our current waiting list?
Yes, ma'am. Our census right now is 132, so we are moving that up. We have 3 pending for a census of 135. So we still have about a 41% vacancy rate for residents. Our wait list, we have 21 residents that are, or people that are ready to come in and have been approved. Like I said, 3 of those are pending. And then we have 41 applications in process. 3 brand new ones that just came in last week. So in that process somewhere in there, but 21 with 3 pending admissions.
21 veterans waiting.
Yes.
And what is the longest that any veteran has been waiting?
We have, out of the 21, we have 15 of them are in a long-term care facility right now, and one of those has been on that list since September 2022.
Over a year.
Over a year, right. We prioritize by risk to the veteran. The ones that are home alone or home with support needs come first. The ones that are in long-term care come second. So yes, it's been over a year.
And the vacancy rate, I mean, obviously you can't open these units until you are able to fill your vacant positions, and with the 10% increase in wages, you were hoping that you would make some progress on that. Can you tell us how you're doing?
Yes, ma'am. So we're really excited about this because our numbers are finally, for the first time, we're really seeing significant drops. And so these numbers are based on today, but on Friday, when we have our next orientation, we have 19 more employees starting. And one of them is a nurse practitioner, 2 RNs, an LPN, some LNAs. So we're really seeing us starting to turn the point. So for our overall vacancy rate, we were at 30%, we're down to 34 as of today. I'll have new numbers to the governor next week. LNAs, we're at 46%, we're at 41%, and our nursing used to be 46, and today we're at 42. So I think we're going in the right direction, and we know that the enhancements becoming permanent part of their salary made a difference because there was no concern about that going away. We still have a ways to go. To open a unit, I literally have to have 9 nursing positions, combination of LNAs, RNs, LPNs. So, and that's without a relief factor. You have to factor in that. So what we're able to do right now is take the existing units that we have and fill them completely so we can actually take as many as we can. I was looking at the stats from when I came in January 2022, we were at 120 residents. And we hit 135 recently, and that's where we're just going to keep pushing as much as we can while still making sure we provide that quality care to the veterans.
Further discussion? Okay, hearing no further discussion, all in favor of item 106, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those are approved. Thank you, guys. Now I'm going to ask for a motion to adopt agenda items 107 through 109 from the Department of Education.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. Can I have a motion to adopt agenda items 110 and 111 from the New Hampshire Lottery Commission?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilor Stevens, here.
Morning, Governor.
Morning, Charlie.
Council.
How are you?
Well, thank you, sir. Charlie McIntyre, Director of Hampshire Lottery.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. This is the $1.4 million, the contract amendment with GYK for earned media. But I'll have to say, after seeing the Tax Shark, the commercial, and the earned media that you're getting in Boston from that, you don't need this. But seriously, there's no description of what earned media services they are going to provide. Will we be getting an update, because within the existing contract, public relations is referenced. So
Yes.
that's my question.
It's a broad topic, as you know, Council. Thank you for the question. It's a broad topic. Earned media is one of those things you sort of do want us to highlight. The Tax Shark ad came up as an idea that we came up with about the increase in the taxes in Massachusetts. I will say candidly, I'm no longer welcome there. As a former resident, and more importantly, as a former employee of the Mass Lottery, I am persona non grata, as they say. It's a hard thing to do. It's sort of, you take advantage of things that happen organically over time, and we try and get earned media every chance we get, and our PR outfits will take advantage of every chance we get. So it's hard to sort of come up with an earned media plan because certain organic things happen that you, in the moment, you take advantage of. And certainly, I would suggest to you that since the life of this contract, our net revenues have gone from 105 million to 187 million. So that's net of expenses. And so that's money that you folks get to spend. So,
Just follow up. So,
Sure.
billable rate, billable hours, that's how you're going to structure this?
it is, and certainly we pay a monthly rate for the PR firm as well as a project by project. So for example, if there's a Powerball winner in a city or town, we'll take full advantage, we'll go there and brief the store owner, we'll try and find the winner, we'll brief the winner, we'll call the papers and media outlets, try and generate as much interest as possible. So that kind of activity.
Great, thank you for clarifying.
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of 110 and 111, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 112 to 119 from the Department of Safety?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 120 to 122 from the Department of Justice?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. Could I have a motion to adopt agenda items 123 through 135 from the Department of Administrative Services? Any discussion? Councilor Gatsas.
Thank you, Governor. Just touching base on the Laconia property, I just hope we close before your approval.
That's what I'll do is I'll track that and we'll see, and I'll, like, at closing, take a picture of my status. It's the current extension period of the title cure is through the end of the month, and I think it's going well, and I expect to close. So I don't have a date. You advised me last meeting not to pick a date. I'm not going to pick a date.
Closing this October?
The extension of the period is through the end of this October. We will not be closing this October. That I know for sure.
You don't know if they're asking for an extension?
After October 31st? I guess I don't technically know, no.
So you will let us know at the next meeting?
I mean, I will, and I'm sorry I can't say more than that, but right now it's a bunch of lawyers talking to each other.
But it all is moving in a positive direction.
Everything's moving in a positive direction. Nothing negative has happened in the last 2 weeks. I feel very confident.
Councilor Kenny?
So, Governor and Councilors, when I get asked the question, what's going on with the state property and how many have sold it yet, what should I say?
What you should say is that we have a purchase and sales agreement, and that the state and the buying group are working out all the final jots and tittles of the contract.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. We'll be closing soon.
And we'll be closing soon.
There you go.
That's what I said. We'll be closing soon.
Those work at better soon.
Jots and tittles, or dots and lines, cross number E's or jots and tittles.
All right, further discussion for admin services? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of 123 to 135, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those items are approved. We have one late item today. Could I get a motion to adopt late item A from the New Hampshire Commission for Human Rights?
Second.
Any discussion on late item A? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Late item A is approved. That concludes our meeting for today. We'll see everybody back here in 3 minutes. Here we go.